It is a new day, and that can mean only one thing. That one thing, another article about who will be the starting left tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs. This time it comes to us by way of Arrowhead Pride, pinned by Caleb James. The article itself is titled Setting Expectations for Wanya Morris in Year 2. And guys, the more I look at this thing, the more convinced I am that it's a three-way race for two spots. I do not believe one bit that Jawaan Taylor's right tackle role is set in stone. Now, the first thing I did is I put together a graphic, and I want to get into that first because I think some things start to be compelling when you lay all of these prospects out foot to foot. We'll get into that in just 1 second, guys, but real quick first, if you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Kansas City Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel. I have dropped a video for 1 week shy of 500 consecutive days about the Kansas City Chiefs. So stay tuned for more Chiefs talk. But now I want to get into a graphic that illustrates a little bit about these prospects as they stand. Here is the graphic in question, and what I have done is I have laid out Wanya Morris, KINGSLEY SUAMATAIA, and Jawaan Taylor and their measurables at the Combine or their Pro Day, and the best number is highlighted in yellow. So, for example, Wanya Morris is the tallest of these prospects at 6'5" and 3/8 inches tall, so he has that yellow highlight over that number. KINGSLEY SUAMATAIA is the heaviest at 326 pounds. Now, here's an interesting factoid about Jawaan Taylor. Jawaan Taylor was apparently nearly 400 pounds coming out of high school and got down to, I believe, 360 before his first day on campus and got all the way down to 324 pounds, I believe it was, at the time of his pro day at Florida. So that is an interesting weight loss journey for Jawaan Taylor, but when you look at these numbers as they are lined out, Wanya Moore, now obviously Jawaan Taylor didn't do any of the physical testing besides the bench press at his pro day or the NFL Combine. He just measured in at the Combine. But I don't know that we have any reason to believe that he would have run a sub 5:04.40 to have beaten KINGSLEY SUAMATAIA, or that he would have had a better 10-yard split than the 1.73 of Wanya Morris. I don't know. So, obviously, the jump numbers that measure explosiveness, it's hard to really guess at what someone would do, but Jawaan Taylor has not really looked like too explosive an athlete. So I think it's safe to assume, and look, I could be 100% wrong, but I think it's safe to assume that Wanya Morris's 29-inch vertical leap and 111-inch broad jump would still have those yellow highlights next to them. And at this rate, guys, Wanya Morris and KINGSLEY SUAMATAIA really look like they have physical advantages over Jawaan Taylor. Would Jawaan Taylor have had an incredible wingspan? Maybe. He has the same arm length as Wanya Morris. I don't know that he looks as wide as Wanya Morris. Wanya Morris's 85-inch wingspan, so long as that is correct, is in the 100th percentile. So that is a very broad-shouldered individual. But when you start looking at these numbers, KINGSLEY SUAMATAIA and Wanya Morris are very, very intimidating presences. KINGSLEY SUAMATAIA and Wanya Morris are very big guys. Wanya Morris, surprisingly explosive. KINGSLEY SUAMATAIA with 31 bench press reps. That is a good number for a guy with 34 and a quarter inch arms. These prospects are all as prospects, not as players, right? We don't know what KINGSLEY SUAMATAIA is going to be at the NFL level as far as players are concerned. But when you look at these guys on a numbers basis as prospects, there are a lot of things to like about both Wanya Morris and KINGSLEY SUAMATAIA. And if I were to tell you that KINGSLEY SUAMATAIA was drafted in the second round not to start for the Kansas City Chiefs, and I don't necessarily mean in year one, but if I told you that he was drafted not to start for the Kansas City Chiefs, I think you would give me a cross look. And then Wanya Morris himself was drafted in the third round. So the obvious argument for Jawaan Taylor, when you're looking at him compared to a second and a third round draft pick, is the money. Jawaan Taylor signed a very rich contract in order to come and play in Kansas City. But if you ask me, that does not work to his advantage, quite the contrary. That works to his disadvantage. And while it is very difficult for the Chiefs to cut him before the end of the 2025 season, I think that they could move on from him in a trade if he is able to prove that he is still a starting level offensive tackle, and so long as the offensive tackle pay rates across the league continue to inflate. Right now, Jawaan Taylor at $20 million a year is tied with Lane Johnson for the second most expensive right tackle in the NFL, behind Penei Sewell at $28 million. But if you go to the 10th name on that list, Terrence Steele, he has an average salary of $16.5 million per season, and that is 1/3 of the way down the league. Now, there are a couple different quotes from the article in question, which I think you all should read, that I would like to go over because they express different things about both Wanya Morris and the situation at tackle overall. The first one, the way the article is broken down is it has plays that highlight some of the good things and some of the bad things that Wanya Morris went through during his rookie season. One of the plays in question is a play against the Bengals and Trey Hendrickson, where Wanya Morris gives up a strip sack. And the article says this about that play, quote, "At times, Morris showed lapses in pass protection, and against all pro-caliber players like Trey Hendrickson, these mistakes cost him greatly. With no help from a back or tight end, Morris is all alone on the island against Hendrickson. He needs to stay square in his vertical pass protection, but as the play progresses, he turns his shoulders towards Hendrickson, giving him an easier rush angle. Morris tries to throw both of his hands and land a strike, but he does not bring enough force with them, and Hendrickson easily knocks them away. This gives Hendrickson the ability to bend the arc, and due to his poor positioning in the pass set, Morris has no chance to recover. The play results in a strip sack for Hendrickson and the loss of the football for the Chiefs. This play displayed some of Morris's glaring issues as a rookie, but it is disappointing to see snaps like this because when Morris was at his best, his game was impressive." Now, the thing I'm going to highlight here is this, if I can find it again. He turns his shoulders towards Hendrickson, giving him an easier pass rush angle. Morris tries to throw both of his hands and land a strike, but he does not bring enough force with them. Now, this tells me exclusively that this is a footwork issue. The fact that Wanya Morris did not bring enough power with his hands is not something that Wanya Morris is known for. Wanya Morris has very active and very heavy hands. So the fact that he did not get enough force behind them tells me he was not comfortable with where his feet were, or his feet were just in the wrong spot outright. He played right tackle during I believe he played almost exclusively right tackle at Oklahoma. I think he played some left tackle at Tennessee, if I'm remembering correctly. I did not look these numbers up, so please don't hold that against me, but they're easy enough to find. But a lot of his experience is at right tackle. Getting that pass drop, that initial step on a pass drop at the left tackle position, is probably something with which he was going to struggle all along during his rookie season. Here's the interesting thing about this taken into additional context. Wanya Morris started off extremely hot with how he was playing when he ended up having to step into that role at left tackle. The interesting thing about that is, to that point in his season, all he really had to do was concentrate on his coaching. Once you're a starter, everything changes for you during the week. Everything changes for you during your preparation. It is a lot more mental work than physical work. I think that's understandable, right? Now the job is yours. You have to execute. There's all these additional things that you have to know, all of the game plan. Now, you had to know those things as a backup too, but the pressure and stress is not on you. When the pressure and stress is on you, it changes that learning profile. While Wanya Morris went on during the season starting, I think it was just 4 games, right, that he ended up starting. But each game he showed a little bit more weakness than the last. This Bengals game in question against Pro Bowler Trey Hendrickson was his penultimate start. It was the third of 4 starts, meaning what's going on during that time when your weaknesses start getting exposed is it's easy to go back on your coaching and forget things. Probably, in my opinion, by this time, things had started getting picked apart for Wanya Morris to the fact where all of a sudden you start forgetting the new coaching coming in. The new coaching, like playing the left side instead of the right side. So if that is the case, and the new coaching is the first stuff to go out, and Wanya Morris was struggling with the new stuff in versus the old habits that he had, that first step on a pass drop is going to prove particularly difficult. So, if he had the time to work on these things during the offseason and make the left tackle drop step second nature for him, the way that the right tackle drop step would have been, all of a sudden those things come more naturally. That first step, to me, and again, I'm no offensive line expert, what it looked like started happening was in pass block reps, that first drop step was not as pronounced, was not as large, and was not as, I don't know how else to say it, was not as sure, right? He didn't look like he knew what he was doing, getting back there and getting set. It looked like he was going through the motions. So I think that it's possible that a lot of the struggles that we saw pop up with Wanya Morris during the end of last season won't necessarily disappear, but he will have the opportunity to work on those things during this off season in order to improve them. Because if he's very good, in my opinion, in the running game. Maybe he doesn't reach someone all the time. Maybe he, missed a block here or there. He was a rookie. So I think that he's obviously, the more he knows the game, the better he's going to do with assignments. It was, in my opinion, the passing game where he really started to struggle towards the end of his starting tenure, at the very end of the season. So forward in the article here. The Chiefs don't have time to wait for Morris to work on the little aspects of his game, and they showed this by drafting Suamataia in the second round. This will stress both players heading into training camp, but it should create the competition the team needs to find their left tackle. Now, here's another interesting bit of this. The Kansas City Chiefs, before drafting Kingsley Suamataia, did not re-sign Donovan Smith. To me, this suggests that they were comfortable with the prospect that Wanya Morris was their starting left tackle heading into this season. It tells me also that the Kansas City Chiefs would maybe rather not depend on someone like Wanya Morris at the left tackle position, that they drafted Kingsley Suamataia in the second round, but they were comfortable with it. If they were comfortable with Wanya Morris, the prospect of Wanya Morris, starting at the left tackle position for them in this, the most pressure-packed season that we've seen from the Kansas City Chiefs, because in this season, they have the opportunity to do something no one has done before. If they were comfortable with Wanya Morris at the left tackle position coming into this season, probably they would be comfortable with Wanya Morris at the right tackle position, so long as he fairly beats out Jawaan Taylor. I know that a lot of the analysis around this is that you don't pay someone $20 million a year to sit on the bench. Guys, that is standard sort of thought and standard sort of talk around football in the NFL and what it means to play professional football. I don't think you win consecutive Super Bowls if you're so concerned about that. I don't think you put yourself in 6 consecutive AFC Championship games if the organization is worried about, what will the neighbors think? They don't care. They don't care. So in my opinion, if Jawaan Taylor ends up getting beaten out by one of the younger offensive tackles on the roster, they're going to feel better about that. Because, worst case scenario, in that scenario, you have a $20 million guy sitting on the bench, but it's also a starting level left tackle, or starting level right tackle, who is your backup guy. If Kingsley Suamataia comes in and wins that left tackle competition, and all of a sudden, they start maybe giving Wanya Morris a rep or two here or there, as far as in practice, just to give him a look-see at right tackle. And he dominates with Trey Smith right next to him, and all of a sudden, the Kansas City Chiefs have a right half of the line that consists of Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, and Wanya Morris, all guys who were extremely good in the running game. Well, I think that's going to be the starting right half of the line in Kansas City. So I don't buy that it's just the left tackle position that is up for grabs this preseason. I think it is 3 tackles and 2 starting spots. That's all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about, dropping multiple videos every single week. I'm about a week out from dropping a video 500 days in a row, so I've got a proven track record. So consider hitting the subscribe button to stick around, and as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.